made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of it? No, not at all.
Nope, I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn, huh?
Okay guys, Frank Style, just a guy from Brooklyn, and we are here to celebrate the macho action movies of the 80s. So for this particular list, I wanted to keep things more grounded, so I put one rule, and that rule is nothing from outer space. Everything must take place on Earth. Therefore, movies like Aliens, Empire Strikes Back, any outer space stuff, out of bounds. So let's stop wasting time and go through my two rules. Rule number one is spoilers. These movies are really, really old, so I will spoil everything. Hard spoiler warning. Rule number two is this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way you can come back at me about my list is to show me yours through the comments section. Coming in at honorable mention number one is The Big Brawl. Came out in 1980. This is Jackie Chan's first attempt to break into Hollywood, and if you didn't know, he tried multiple times. This is a period piece movie. He's a young martial artist whose family is being terrorized by the mafia, and to get the mafia off his back, he decides to partake in a Texas Brawl tournament. Chan also is aided by Mako, who's his uncle in this movie. Mako is a very serious character, but at the same time, he's also comic relief, as he has a fondness for, say, really, really large women. It's all fun. It's great. The tournament is fantastic. It actually starts out with a battle royale. Chan's nemesis is a guy named Billy Kiss, who when he chokes you out, he kisses you in the face. I've always had a great time with it. Coming in at honorable mention number two is Commando. Came out in 1985. Yes, this is an Arnold classic. It stars Rae Dong Chung, Vernon Wells, Alyssa Milano, lots of Jamaican steel drums, and of course, tons of one-liners. This is definitely Arnold's response to First Blood. He wanted to do a Rambo-type film, but this was a little different. His daughter gets kidnapped, and he must take on these terrorists. His nemesis here is Wells, who looks like a fat Freddie Mercury. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Rae Dong Chung plays a great love interest. She also adds a lot of comedy to it. I do not consider this one of Arnold's best, but I also consider it to be a guilty pleasure. It's so much fun. Coming in at honorable mention number three is Mad Max 2, starring Mel Gibson. Yes, the Road Warrior. Did I grow up watching these movies on repeat? Not really, but the second one is definitely one that stands out for me. I think it's the best. This is world building at its best, with this type of post-apocalyptic Australian desert where like gasoline is more important than like food, and you've got all these like factions fighting each other, and these kind of like fights on the road. Guy with the Jason mask, Vernon Wells is here doing his thing with his like mohawk and all that. What always stands out like a sore thumb for me is that little kid. He's dirty. He needs a haircut. He's kind of like monkey-like, throwing boomerangs at people. Always found him annoying. He kind of reminds me of the character Spider from the new Avatar movies. He was probably the reason why I didn't watch this movie as much as I should have. Coming in at number 25 is Bloodsport. Came out in 1988. Yes, this is the first Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicle. Stars Bolo Yoon, Donald Gibb, aka Ogre from The Revenge of the Nerds. It's obviously an Enter the Dragon ripoff. It's supposedly based on Frank Dukes, who is a famous or infamous martial artist from back in the day. We just don't know if any of this stuff happened, but who really cares? It's really fun. You got lots of martial artists fighting in this big tournament. Is it a good movie? The acting is terrible. Van Damme's facial expressions are absolutely ridiculous, especially in the last fight. But Van Damme at this time was just larger than life. The way he can move, the way he can fight, those big swinging kicks, they were just something that people had never seen before. Coming in at number 24 is Rambo, First Blood Part 2, came out in 1985. It's filled with lots of muscles, bullets. It takes Rambo back to Vietnam. He escapes, he's betrayed, then he escapes again. There's a scene where he's completely covered in mud. He's got a big helicopter fight. He takes out guys with explosive bow and arrow shots. But I also must admit, this is the type of movie that was just so big in the 80s, but also was kind of a downfall. You think about movies like Hot Shots, there were lots of TV shows parodying stuff like this. The movie is a little bit hollow, unlike the First Blood, where you had a message, you had a clear meaning to the movie. This was not about that. This is just, let's pluck Rambo in and let him just kill a whole bunch of people. Coming in at number 23 is Above the Law. Came out in 1988. This is Steven Seagal's first movie. I just happen to think it's best as far as his action, as far as his martial arts. It also stars Pam Grier, Henry Silva. In a lot of these kind of cop movies, the police officers uncover something, and in this one, they uncover a CIA conspiracy. Seagal is something like a fifth Dan in Aikido, and it shows. These are real Aikido techniques that he does throughout the movie, and that's what made the movie so special. A lot of people just hadn't seen this type of stuff on the big screen. Coming in at number 22 is Runaway. Came out in 1984. This is a futuristic, techie action film. It stars Tom Selleck. It also has Kirstie Alley. And the villain is Gene Simmons from the rock band Kiss. Selleck leads the runaway police squad, who's in charge of wrangling robots that are misbehaving. Eventually, he crossed paths with Simmons, who's developing all this dangerous tech. He's got these killer spider robots, which I don't know why they call spiders because they only have 6 legs, but they're really cool. He has a gun that shoots a smart bullet, which is filmed kind of in that Evil Dead style where you follow the bullet through the camera. Very cool stuff. A lot like Demolition Man, this movie does a great job of predicting a lot of stuff. You see drones, you see all types of stuff that we are using now today, and this was in an early 80s movie. It also has like droids from Star Wars, so why don't we have the droids? What's up with that? Coming in at number 21 is Running Scared. Came out in 1986. This stars Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. It's your typical buddy cop film with a twist. They're after a big drug dealer played by Jimmy Smits, but after a few failed attempts, their boss sends them on an early vacation. They end up in Key West, have a ball, and then they decide they want to go through early retirement. When they come back, they have short-timer's disease. They're worried about getting killed before they can retire, and they still have to take down Smits. It's really fun. The chemistry between Hines and Crystal is fantastic. It takes place in Chicago. There's a big car race scene where the cars end up on the actual elevated train. Key West scenes are really fun. Coming in at number 20 is Streets of Fire. Came out in 1984. A rock star played by Diane Lane decides to do a gig in her own hometown. She gets kidnapped by a bunch of bikers led by Raven Shattuck, played by Willem Dafoe, and it's up to Michael Paré, who plays her ex-boyfriend, who comes back into town and has to save her. It also stars Rick Moranis. It stars Amy Madigan from the new movie Weapons. It's a weird kind of mashup between like Grease with the hairstyles, but with a gritty streets kind of drama. They end up having to rescue her from a biker bar, and I will never forget those scenes because it had like this really, really skinny stripper. I mean, it let me know at that very young age that I prefer women with curves. The music is absolutely fantastic, and of course, the whole movie ends with a big duel between Paré and Dafoe in a sledgehammer fight. Coming in at number 19 is Revenge of the Ninja. Came out in 1983. This is the best of the ninja films that came from Canon Studios. It starred Sho Kosugi, which pretty much was in all of them. It starts out in Japan, where almost all of Kosugi's family is taken out by rival ninja. He decides to move to the States, start a business with his friend Braden, and he's there with his grandmother and his son Kane, who happens to be his real-life son. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to him, his friend Braden is a silver mask ninja who gets involved with the mafia, and Sho's family gets caught up in the middle of it. It has kind of a slasher element throughout the middle of the movie where the silver mask ninja decides to pick off all these mafia guys. He does it in really, really cool fashion. The entire finale takes place in a high-rise building where Sho must take on Braden in this final duel, ninja versus ninja. Coming in at number 18 is 48 Hours, came out in 1982. Now, I must be honest, really just a couple of days ago, I had Beverly Hills Cop here at this spot, another Eddie Murphy buddy cop movie. And if you're looking for prime Eddie Murphy comedy, that's the movie you should watch. But this is an action list, and 48 Hours is great as far as action. You have him paired up with Nick Nolte, who has to take on this criminal named Gans, played by James Remar, who you might recognize from movies like The Warriors, or something more recent like Dexter, the TV show, or even the new Derry, Welcome to Derry, has Remar predominantly in it. This is definitely one of the granddaddies of the buddy cop movies. It stars Sonny Landham, who plays a Native American named Billy. Guess what? In the movie Predator, he also plays a Native American named Billy. Not only that, he pulls out a big-ass knife in both movies. Coming in at number 17 is John Carpenter's Escape from New York, came out in 1981. It's the future, and Manhattan is now a prison. And unfortunately, Air Force One crashes there, and Donald Pleasance, who plays the president, is captured. So Snake Plissken, played by Kurt Russell, is suicide squatted into being sent in to rescue the president. If you love Carpenter's style, it's all over the place in this movie. I love the score. I love the look of Manhattan. It's all downtrodden. Got Adrienne Barbeau, who's there because Carpenter loved certain things about her. This eventually got a sequel, Escape from LA, which I feel just definitely did not do it justice. But I do think that the Snake Plissken character is just one of Kurt Russell's best. Continuing on with Carpenter, coming in at number 16 is John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China, came out in 1986. And yes, again, we get Kurt Russell, also Kim Cattrall. Russell plays a truck driver who just happens to run into a mystical demon-type ghost guy named Lo Pan, who needs a Chinese girl with green eyes in order to become whole again. It's a very supernatural Hong Kong type of flick. A lot of the characters and visuals inspired the video game Mortal Kombat, and you can easily see that here. There's tons of action and comedy and all types of weird types of effects. Coming in at number 15 is Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop. Came out in 1987. You have a gritty, futuristic Detroit. There's a cop named Murphy who ends up being gunned down by a bloody gang. And of course, the big company OCP, who runs the entire city, decides to make him a cyborg, making him RoboCop. Verhoeven does some really great world building here. Besides all the gritty look of this kind of futuristic Detroit, you have these like odd commercials, and there's some sort of weird TV show about a guy who's given two girls and he wants to buy them for $1. It's all really odd stuff. It's bloody. It's brutal. This movie was extremely popular at the time. You got sequels. You had video games. You had cartoons. It's like everybody was suffering from Robomania. Coming in at number 14 is Top Gun. Came out in 1986. Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards, Maverick and Goose, are chosen to go to Top Gun, which is a school that teaches fighters dogfighting. His opposition Iceman, played by Val Kilmer, is the best that the Navy has to offer. Now that plot sounds like really low stakes, but the movie makes it feel like there are huge stakes involved here. The movie is fantastically shot. All the fighter plane scenes are just fantastic. This movie seems to have some huge homoerotic undertones. According to the showrunners, this is not intentional. This is pure coincidence, according to them. You judge it for yourself as you see men staring and gazing at each other from across rooms. There's lots of locker room scenes where men are walking around in their underwear or in towels. People are air biting each other. They're playing shirtless volleyball and giving each other high fives. And this is something I did not pick up on at all when I was younger watching this movie. But guess what? I think it makes the movie better. This is something that makes the movie unique and special. Coming in at number 13 is Lethal Weapon, came out in 1987. Mel Gibson plays Riggs, who's partnered up with Danny Glover's Murtaugh, and Riggs has some suicidal tendencies, which makes this buddy cop movie very unique. Riggs is also an absolute killing machine, and they uncover a drug operation that they must take down. This also stars Gary Busey in one of his better roles as the kind of opposite villain to Riggs. It's also a Christmas movie, and this is really Mel Gibson in his prime. They ended up doing 3 more sequels. I don't think that the sequels have aged as well as the original, but I do enjoy watching them. I will say this, I tried marathoning all 4 movies in one shot, and now whenever I hear a saxophone play, I get this nervous tick. Coming in at number 12 is Young Guns, came out in 1988. You have a sort of Brat Pack with Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Lou Diamond Phillips, and through this Western, you get Billy the Kid in a kind of beginnings type of story. It definitely shocked me when I was younger, as Sheen is taken out really early. For the majority of the movie, these guys are on the run, and they go through all types of adventures. They even end up taking peyote and going on some weird trip. The ending is this big battle where they're all cooped up in this house, and they're surrounded by the military and all their enemies. Fun fact, Tom Cruise played an extra in this scene. They followed this up with Young Guns 2 in the 90s, and it was fantastic. And word is a part 3 is in development, but I have no idea how that's going to work. Coming in at number 11 is Barry Gordon's The Last Dragon, came out in 1985. You have martial arts meets Motown, as Bruce Leroy, played by Timac, has reached the peak of his martial arts, but he is looking to reach another level where his teacher says he will get a sublime glow all over his body. His love interest, played by Vanity of Vanity 6, is being terrorized by a guy named Eddie Arcadian, and after rescuing her a couple of times, Arcadian decides to hire Sho'nuff, the Shogun of Harlem, who just happens to be Bruce Leroy's nemesis. I have big love for this movie. You have an El DeBarge video in the middle of it. Unfortunately, a large amount of the cast have passed away. It almost feels like the movie has some sort of curse to it. I just happen to have met Timac a couple of times. He's a really nice guy. Kicking off my top 10 at number 10 is Red Dawn, came out in 1984, which answers the question, what if the Cubans and the Russians during the Cold War had decided to attack the United States? This takes place in a small town, and a bunch of teenagers are able to escape and hide out in the mountains for a little while, and they realize that in order to survive, they're going to have to start fighting back. This has a huge cast of Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Leah Thompson, C. Thomas Howell, Jennifer Grey. They decide to attack the Russians and Cubans in small little skirmishes, calling themselves the Wolverines after their high school football team. There's all types of great scenes, like one involving them coming out of the ground literally so that they can take down a few guys. There's a scene early on in the movie where they're hunting deer, and they tell one of the kids that if it's his first kill, he has to drink the blood of the deer in order to take in some of the deer's spirit so that he can be a true hunter. I have a good friend, Julia Moreno, who does a lot of hunting. I've been trying to convince her to drink the blood. It's a no-go. She's not going for it. Come on, Julia, drink that blood. Coming in at number 9 is Highlander. Came out in 1986. A group of people all around the world find out that they are supernatural. They're also involved in this huge game where they must kill each other off until there is only one, and that one immortal will get a big prize. How do they kill each other? By chopping each other's heads. Connor MacLeod, the main immortal that you follow, is played by Christopher Lambert, a French actor who during the filming of the movie barely spoke any English, but I think he did a great job. You have lots of flashback scenes where you have like him back in the Highlands and he discovers that he is an immortal. Sean Connery plays his mentor. He's the one who explains to him all the rules, and he also teaches him how to fight. It all ends up in 80s New York City, where you have a small group of guys trying to chop each other's heads off. It has lots of great effects, great sword fights. The movie was very popular in the 80s. It got tons of sequels, all of them absolutely terrible. It did spawn a TV series that was running for quite a while. I was not a fan of it, and I hear there is a remake in development starring Henry Cavill. Coming in at number 8 is Die Hard. Came out in 1988. You've got this huge high-rise building that's being taken over by terrorists, but unbeknownst to them, there's a New York City cop there, and he shows these terrorists what true terror is as he annoys the absolute crap out of them. This made TV star Bruce Willis into a movie star. It also stars Severus Snape himself, Alan Rickman. I think it's the one that goes against the grain as far as all these macho, big muscled, having huge guns, tons of bullets being shot. This is the movie that goes against that and kind of ushers in a new era of action movies. Just like Lethal Weapon, this is a Christmas movie, and it is considered one of the greatest action movies of all time. Coming in at number 7 is Conan the Barbarian. Came out in 1982. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Conan, and it's a huge revenge film as all of his family and people are killed off by Thulsa Doom, played by Darth Vader himself, James Earl Jones. It's got extremely R-rated content, and I love that about this movie. It's a little bit more grounded than a lot of your fantasy type sword and sorcery movies, and it's got this big, beautiful operatic score that just puts you into this world. Schwarzenegger was built literally to be in this movie. He was meant to play Conan. Coming in at number 6 is First Blood. Came out in 1982. Sylvester Stallone is John Rambo, who happens to be visiting one of his Vietnam vet friends. He gets picked up by a police officer played by Brian Dennehy, who mistakes him for a vagrant, locks him up, and his police buddies beat the crap out of him. They are unaware that Rambo is an absolute killing machine. He snaps, and he escapes into the mountains where he wreaks havoc on the entire town. This is based off a novel of the same name, and unlike a lot of these movies where you got your guns and your bullets and your muscles, this one is about how we treated our veterans back then. A lot of them couldn't get jobs. A lot of them were treated like bums, and I think that's why most people consider it to be the best of the franchise. Coming in at number 5 is Oliver Stone's Platoon. Came out in 1986. This is a huge Vietnam War film where you follow a particular platoon, and the cast is absolutely stacked. You've got Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger, Forrest Whitaker, Tony Todd, and yes, a very young Johnny Depp, and many, many more. Eventually, the platoon gets split up over a killing. You've got so many great performances. Stone actually was in Vietnam, so everything you see here feels so authentic. And the final battle is more of a slaughter. You've got so many famous scenes, like Dafoe being shot down. This is ugly, this is war. There's no heroes here. There's just survival. Coming in at number 4 is Rocky IV. Came out in 1985. Apollo Creed, Rocky's bestie, decides he wants to fight a newcomer, Ivan Drago, an unknown Russian boxer, and in this exhibition match, Drago literally beats Apollo to death. Stallone feels guilty because he had a chance to throw in the towel, and so this is not just a boxing movie, this is a revenge movie. Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, is almost a Terminator. Nobody believes that Rocky can win, including his wife, and so Rocky travels to Russia to train in the mountains to fight Drago, who's being shot up with steroids and given every advantage known to man. It also has more montages than scenes. It really shouldn't work, and yet it does. The fight is in Russia, so Rocky is taking on not just Drago, but a hostile crowd. It's my favorite Rocky movie. It's pure 80s, and yes, it is pure action. Coming in at number 3 is The Terminator. Came out in 1984. One of the few movies where Arnold plays the villain, as he plays a cyborg sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor, who's supposed to give birth to John Connor, the future leader of the resistance against the machines. It also stars Linda Hamilton as Sarah and Michael Biehn, who plays Kyle Reese, the soldier sent back to help her take on the Terminator. Although this is not a horror movie, this takes on a very slasher formula. But since the Terminator uses mostly artillery to kill everybody, it doesn't really have that slasher feel to it. There's lots of chase scenes. You have a really big sex scene between Reese and Sarah, which kind of helped kickstart puberty for me back then. The ending showdown has lots of stop motion, which I love. And of course, the paradox ending, which is something I love to talk to people about. How could that paradox ending actually have gone about? It's the whole chicken or the egg thing. How could Reese eventually become the father of John Connor if he's from the future? And my runner-up to this big macho 80s list is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Came out in 1981. This is a combination of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, so you can feel a lot of that movie magic everywhere here. You got Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones, who is tasked to find the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis do. It's very similar to your RPG video game, where he has to go find people or objects in order to fulfill his tasks. I found it all fascinating with the whole finding of the headpiece of the Staff of Ra, and then you had to figure out how long the staff was, bring it to this big map room, wait till a certain point in the day so the sun can hit it, and locate where the Ark is. I just eat all that stuff up. This movie has a huge horror-style ending, which scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And my number 1 80s action movie is Predator. Came out in 1987. It's one of the biggest Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. It really doesn't feature Arnold Schwarzenegger that much. He leads this big group of macho, tough soldiers into the jungle in order to track down a unit that went missing, and they find that unit skinned alive. Why? Because of the alien hunter with dreadlocks and stealth technology, and he's looking for more trophies to put over his fireplace. This movie is pure testosterone. It's got Carl Weathers, Jesse the Body Ventura, Shane Black. Schwarzenegger actually had an entire gym flown into the jungle so that these guys could keep their reps up and keep their muscles bulging between sets. Again, you've got that big slasher formula, which would make Arnold a final girl, which is kind of funny. This movie went through some changes. Jean-Claude Van Damme himself was the Predator early on, and the Predator looked more like a large bug-type creature, but they eventually let him go and change the entire design, and this is history. And we've had a ton of sequels and crossovers with the Alien franchise, and no matter how many sequels they pump out, this is always going to be the best. I think it's Arnold's best movie, and it's the best in 80s action. What are your favorite macho 80s action films? Let me know in the comments section. From the BK, from the city that never sleeps. Peace, baby.
This is a Brooklyn-bound express train. The next stop is Brooklyn Bridge.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.